WDXE Radio, Kip Capley show. Me and my friends on this beautiful, a little bit warm Monday, but we're back. Glad to be here with my friends. How are y'all doing?
Doing pretty good, buddy. How about you?
I'm good.
Doing great. Good to see you, Kip.
Good to see y'all, as always. Shout out to Striker's Steakhouse right off the bat. I mean, just right off the get-go. If you had something good to eat lately, it was probably from Striker's. So, hey.
Yeah, Brandon and
Shout
I
out.
ate there last week. It was pretty good.
Great atmosphere, great food.
Hey,
Good
look
food.
at that hat that Kip is wearing today.
Got the Bank of Frank, baby.
Frankie Wing. Bank of Frank Ewing.
Bank of Frank. That's a shameless plug. Sponsor us, baby. Come on. Bank of Frank.
They need to sponsor, don't they?
They do. Yeah. We love our Bank
Love
of
to
Frank
have 'em
folks.
on board.
We would. We absolutely would. It's a good hat.
So, Kip, I want to let everybody get to know or hear about what happened after the special session came to an end.
Yeah.
I'm watching video, and it looked like you're about ready to throw down.
Oh, man. So it started while we were still in session on the last day. And this was my dad's birthday. Shout out to Dad, by the way, on the last day of special session. And we were moving through, just trying to get out of there, get everything done. And I don't know, we'd probably been there for 45 minutes or something. And one of the representatives from Shelby County by the name of Pearson, so I'm sitting in my desk, and obviously there's a walkway between my desk and the desk to my right. It's about
Now, you're talking about one of the Stooges, just
yes,
Pearson.
one of the Stooges. Yes, absolutely. So I'm sitting in my desk, just doing what I do, paying attention, minding my own business. And another Republican representative forward and to the right of me is standing, at his desk on the right side of the aisle, just kind of propped up and, hanging out, paying attention, doing his thing. And as y'all know, we don't necessarily keep our seats for the entire time we're there because, you need to stand up and stretch and everything else. So he's standing there leaned up against his desk, and here comes Pearson down the aisle, and, he's got his fists raised up and hooping and hollering and doing all his regular disruptive behavior type activities. And so he starts walking towards Justin Lafferty, who's a Republican member who's leaned up against his desk. And he gets within about 4 feet of him, and I'm, obviously I'm looking that way. And he drops his shoulder and shoulder checks. Throws his shoulder right in the middle of Lafferty's chest. And Lafferty wasn't even, wasn't bothering, wasn't even paying attention. So it knocks Lafferty back, and he's like, "What? What's going on?" And Pearson goes, "Get out the way, man," and keeps walking and hooping and hollering. So I turn around and look at him, and I'm like, "What in the hell is wrong with you?" Nobody's bothering you. We wasn't even talking to him, nothing. And he just keeps moving. So Lafferty's standing there and, raises his hand. He's like, "I just got assaulted on the floor. What we doing?" Yada, yada, yada. And it moves on. So that's the first thing that started that's when I knew the ending was going to get wild.
Ugly.
Yeah. So session ends, all that good stuff. And I walk over toward the front, and I'm talking to our ethics council and some other folks about different things. And I see this disruption happening over to my right in the front of the chamber down toward the speaker. And, Pearson, and there's that whole debacle about touching the speaker and this, that, and whatever.
Well, Jones was up there, too.
Yeah, he was.
Another one of the Stooges.
Yeah, they were up there agging it on and trying to, get likes and views on Twitter and everything else. And so I kind of look.
And more money to their coffers.
Of course, absolutely. That's part of it. With their private security they want to hire with their campaign funds and everything else. I've never needed security, so, by the way. Shout out to THP. They do a great job. So I'm standing up there, and to my right, I can see our majority leader, William Lamberth, is talking to Pearson. And he's, you can see him with his hands kind of going, "Calm down. If you want to have a conversation, let's talk about it. Calm down." And so there's this flood of people that start surrounding Lamberth and Pearson over there to his desk. So I'm like, oh, Lord, here we go. So I'm going over there, and I grab them, and I'm body blocking to get him out of there. Obviously, we need to leave because this has just turned into a crazy mess of people hollering and touching each other and everything else. And so I'm in the front, kind of blazing the trail, and I got Lambert behind me, and then Representative Zachary from Knoxville, and Pearson's behind us, but he's kind of to my back right shoulder, and I can hear him. He is screaming bloody murder at me. And Lambert talking about, and I can't even repeat some of the stuff, the language that he was using, dropping F-bombs.
Wait a minute. Is he not a minister too, or
I don't.
self-professed?
No, he is
Jones,
going through. He's going through divinity school right now.
I think that's Jones. I don't know if Pearson
What
is.
type of divinity school? I didn't know we used F-bombs in divinity.
Well,
I didn't either, but anyhow. So Pearson's behind me screaming profanities, calling me a Nazi and a white supremacist, and I'm killing their community, and I don't care, and this, that, and like I said, I can't repeat everything that he said because the language was so bad, and obviously I'm just ignoring him, like we just got to just flat out get out of here. So we finally get out and are moving down through the catacombs of people getting out of there, and they're still following us. Jones is in the mix now, screaming, hollering curse words. Now they got the liberal media coming in talking about how awful we are, following us the whole way down to Cordell Hull building, and we finally got out of there. But I had to get physical with some folks, and it was unfortunate, but I'm just get out of my way.
Well, if you looked at
the
video, you could tell you were mad.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell you another thing. I thank goodness that they have these things on video, because I'm going to show you how much the media lies and how they like to project.
Twist.
Mm-hmm.
No, well, not twist. They project what the other side is doing.
Yeah.
And so we know that Pearson and Jones have hired bodyguards.
Yep.
Do you know that they were claiming that it was bodyguards that was protecting William Lambert and Cameron Sexton, when actually it was Kip Capley and Scott Sapicki and a couple of the other representatives?
Yeah.
This is how stupid our media is.
Yep.
Yeah.
Is that they were saying that they don't even recognize that Kip and Scott and some of these other members of the House are actual members of the House that was protecting Sexton and Lambert, and they were calling them bodyguards.
Yeah, we just got to get out of there.
What I really want to know is, UT offered you a scholarship?
No, I hadn't. No,
for middle linebacker.
No, I hadn't got an offer to be tight end or nothing. I'd shout out UT. I'd love I'd get out there one game, maybe a AA school, AAA. Something.
You did a good job. I watched it.
Yeah,
appreciate it.
You kept your cool.
Yeah.
You kept your cool.
Well,
and it's a crying shame that these clowns, and I want to say something else, but I always call them the Three Stooges.
Sure.
And I love that people are picking up on this, because that's what they are. They're just a bunch of stooges.
Well,
They are.
They're activists.
They are.
And like you and I talked last week, as we said in Clay Doggett's committee that he chairs, Justin Jones came down and sat right down in front of Dave Vance and myself.
Yeah.
And I thought, boy,
He don't realize that he's lucky that we have laws in this country, because if we didn't, I don't think he'd made it out alive with Dave Vance behind him. Yeah, I don't care who you are, you're not gonna pick a fight with Dave Vance and win.
No,
So-
I agree with that.
It's
But,
just
the thing is that these two people, these two clowns, are getting a spotlight put on Tennessee in the wrong way.
Yeah.
Right.
They think they're doing everything. They think they're just cute. But I want to drill home to the people who need to really understand that Justin Jones has 13 to 14 charges against him that the DA of Davidson County, Glenn
Funky Funk,
refuses to prosecute that guy over. It's just
we got close, baby.
That was close.
We got close.
It's just so terrible that this happens.
Yeah.
And these folks, that it's sort of like telling little Johnny or little Susie, hey, if you do that one more time, I'm going to tear that rear end up.
That's right.
Well, little Johnny, little Susie, tempted and tried. They do it again, and you threaten them again, and that's all you do. So they become bolder, and that's what has happened to these clowns. They have not been prosecuted. Look at our folks up there in D.C. They want to call that an insurrection, and they're giving people 17 years.
Yep.
Jesus,
They're giving people jail that wasn't even there.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is the crazy. This is ludicrous. Where are our Republicans in Washington, D.C.?
I don't know.
I want to know where you're at.
Yeah.
Love to talk to you.
I'm telling
because you need to be taking care of our republic.
Well, there's a couple things, I'm preaching to the choir to the folks back home, but these guys know this and they don't act like it, but they are basically the two, and Gloria is as well. Those are the three most irrelevant legislators on the Hill.
You cannot,
they are.
You cannot do what they do and legislate.
No, they will get
impossible.
nothing. I guarantee you, write it down. They will get nothing done for their districts, and their districts are going to suffer.
They're going to suffer.
And their constituents are so blind to their antics of being an activist, and they're so ignorant to think that this is acceptable behavior, that assaulting people and cursing and name calling and doing all this other stuff is appropriate behavior, and you think that's going to get something done for you?
Honestly, I believe if Gloria Johnson had been expelled like the two other clowns, if she had been expelled, I do not, and when she had to go through a special re-election in Knox County, because they did in Shelby, and they did in Davidson, and they won.
Yeah.
I think Gloria would have been defeated. And this would have took some wind out of her sail, because now the news that broke today on Channel 5, she's going to announce that she's running against Marsha Blackburn. She's going to do a statewide announcement.
So you know why she's doing that? Let me tell you why she's doing it. Because she knows she can't go back to Knoxville and win her House of Representatives seat. So she might as well parlay this into something else. I mean, she's going to fail and she's not going to win.
Sure.
But it'll parlay her into something else is what it's going to do.
Of course it will.
It has nothing to do with her winning. It has everything to do with the fact she can't win her seat anymore. I'll give you a perfect example of this, and Kip, you know this. After they had that vote on the three of them, you had Justin Jones and Justin Pearson. They both got over $800,000 in contribution money
into their war chest.
Each.
Gloria Johnson got $29,000.
I think like 85 or 90% of that money was from out of state.
Right. Just like 85 or 90% of the people that were there protesting at the special session was from out of state.
Of course, absolutely. Yeah. And the thing that bothers me, Jones goes on TV and talks about how great he is and gallivants and talks about he's, the greatest thing since sliced bread and that he's the youngest member of our body and all. I got that boy beat by 2 years. I'm younger than he is, so I don't know why and I've told him that. But he doesn't care, and the liberal media doesn't care either because that doesn't fit their narrative, right? That's not the narrative that they want. But the thing that people don't understand, obviously our listeners know, if you don't have respect about yourself and the people around you, and especially in a supermajority of Republicans, I don't know why you could think that would be a good strategy. Because I'm not going to vote for anything that they do.
So let me tell you why it's a good strategy, because we have seen this before. And we saw it back in 1969 in Chicago when you had Reverend Al Sharpton and Jesse Jackson and Louis Farrakhan coming up. They were doing the same things in Chicago with what Pearson and Jones is doing right now in Nashville. You go look it up. I mean, it had happened. They have the playbook, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm going to tell everybody this, and unless you think Chicago is the greatest city in the world and it's a great place to be, then keep allowing them to do what they're doing and being activists, and we're going to see Nashville turned into Chicago all over again.
Right. It's headed that way. It's getting worse day by day, and I know that. Give a shout out to the Metro PD because
shout out Metro. Yeah.
They did an excellent job with that Covenant school shooting. Their response time and everything, they had it shut down 14 minutes, so that's excellent. I wish it had never happened. Of
course,
if you had a gun there, it wouldn't have happened.
But what we got to do, and all these Democrat cities. And these sanctuary cities, they're sanctuary cities until they start flooding them like New York, and then they start hollering that's an oxymoron.
Yep, it is.
Think about what El Paso is going through on a daily basis.
They've been in a state of emergency for like 8 months.
You want to talk about a state of
Crazy.
emergency?
Yeah.
Look at all these towns on the border. And our federal government could care less. You know why? Because they're red. We're red. That Texas is a red state. They don't want to do anything to help. And, you know, the thing about it is you know, Joe Biden is just, I would love to hear from people who think their life is better off today than it was 3 years ago.
Yeah, call in, 766-9393,
I'd love to
please.
welcome your call
Yeah.
and talk to you, because I want to know what planet you've been living on or where you're lost in space, you know. Something's wrong.
Maybe the only thing I can think of is somebody won the lottery or something. I mean, that'd be about the only way. But I'm going to tell you, you look at what's happened to our country and you look at the moral decline of our country, and then that's what happens when you put immoral leaders in place. And these are the things that happen. And that's the reason that, to me, a bastion of safety, a bastion of good people is what we have here in Lawrence County. You know, no offense to you in Giles County, but, you know, we have leaders that are God-fearing, Christian, conservative men.
Yeah.
And women.
It shows,
and
you know,
women.
I said on the show last week, shout out to all the elected officials of Lawrence County, even Tommy Kidd. We got to pick at him for standing up. We're not going to let him live that one down.
No,
but,
shout out
you
Tommy
know,
Lee
it
Kidd.
was a big turnout of your elected officials.
We had
Oh,
eight.
man.
We
Up
had
there.
8.
And
Let me
that's
tell you.
great
Let me
officials.
tell you that was, and I didn't get the chance to really say this a whole lot last week when I visited another show. I was so proud to see so many different constituents of mine, and Clay Doggett, shout out Clay Doggett, Joey Hensley, and Paige Wally. I was so proud to see so many of our constituents there in Nashville, ready to go. I mean, right off the bat, ready to go. And I can't tell y'all how appreciative we are, and I am, of y'all showing up, taking time out of your day, taking off work, bringing your families up and participating in the process, because that's how it should work, honestly. And I even had other representatives that come up to me and they were like, "Do you have constituents here?" And I was like, "Yeah, I got probably 40 or 50." And they were like, "Do what did you say
So
now?"
we had over 100 there.
There was
Actually.
130 people there,
Yes.
and
I
they
mean-
came from 12 different
Yeah, I
counties.
just meant from mine,
Yeah.
mine specifically me, and
or people that's in directly with you,
Yes,
like myself.
exactly. Yeah.
You know, there
And
was
they-
probably
130.
Well, it was 130, but in our core group,
Yeah.
it was
Yeah.
probably, we had over 60.
yeah,
Right.
and
Let's
they
think
were
about
just,
that.
I mean, flat out shocked.
I tell
Flat
you, the
out shocked.
Senate was shocked when
We packed up
when
the gallery.
when Paige Wally said, the people that are here, with Lawrence County and stand up, and we took up almost 2/3 of the Senate gallery, and I watched. It was funny because Paige only thought it was going to be our little section where I was sitting at, but then they started looking around, and it took up.
It made an L shape.
It's a horseshoe.
It's a horseshoe, but it made an L
It made an L.
with
Yeah.
us. The media was the
incredible.
rest of it.
Incredible.
It was incredible.
Yep, it really was.
And guess what? We're going to do it again.
Please,
We're
I
going
love
to
it.
keep doing it.
I love
because we have to. That's
right.
We can't be up there like the protesters are every day because we don't have George Soros money behind us.
Guess what? We didn't get thrown out neither.
That's right.
No, we
Think
didn't.
about that.
No, we didn't. And you know what? I made sure every time I made eye contact with our law enforcement, with the Tennessee Highway Patrol,
We thanked them.
I made sure I thanked them.
Yeah.
I made sure I nodded at least, and I was very. I tell you what, I told my wife and I told my children, to stay home for this because I didn't know what was happening or going to happen.
And
But I'm
that
going
was
to
the
tell
right thing.
Yeah, it was.
it was, but I'm going to tell you, I felt more safe once I got up there than going to Walmart.
Yeah.
I
Shout out
really did.
THP. They do a great job.
It depends on which county you're talking about going to Walmart.
I'm talking about here. I'm talking about here.
Okay. All right.
But I'm going to tell you, I feel safe pretty much wherever I go.
Yeah.
I could go into Davidson County or Shelby County Walmart, and I'm going to feel safe, just because, thank God, we do have the right to carry guns in Tennessee.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
And unless somebody gets me in the back of the head and I don't see it coming, they're going to have a tough time.
Well, in closing on this special session, there again, Kip, I appreciate watching you and
Yes,
seeing
sir.
what you did, the protection for our fellow lawmakers that are trying to do the right thing against this activism.
Well, I mean, what are they
And-
going to do to me?
Well,
know?
you're
We gotta get-
pretty
we gotta
good sized
get-
fella to handle.
You are,
Come on.
but we've got to get our leaders in the Republican Party to stand up and squash this stuff now.
That's right.
And they are not even following their rules that they have put out there.
No.
And they're letting these people get away with it. And listen, I'm all about free speech. I want free speech, but going up there and making a fool of yourself is not the way to do it. The way
Yeah.
to do it is to go and talk to your legislators and have a civil conversation, even
Yeah.
if you disagree with
Of
them.
course.
Open dialect.
That's right.
And if you do that, then it's amazing how you can get your point across. And if your point is good and is valid, then it might be taken up.
Well, the thing about it is, and don't want to get away from this, there was a couple of things I felt like strongly I want to, and I said this last week, a shout out to you,
Yeah.
a shout out to Clay Doggett,
Shout out Clay Doggett. Yep.
shout out to Todd Warner.
Yep. Morning.
Did any of you guys introduce any legislation during this special session?
No, I did do a resolution, which it wasn't technically a bill, but I just did this as a dig to Democrats, which made Tennessee recognize August as National Shooting Sports Month. So I just did that to be cute.
Oh, did
Oh,
you?
well,
Yeah.
the thing about it, there wasn't any legislation from you
Yeah,
guys.
no.
And I felt like personally there shouldn't have been any legislation from any Republican. Once the Senate said we're going to hear 3 bills,
Yeah.
that's what we should have done. I wish the House leadership had have shut this thing down.
Well,
and just went along, and then we got January coming along pretty quick, so it'll
Yeah,
be
we
here before
almost
we can
ended it.
holler.
Yeah, it'll
It's-
will.
Yeah.
It'll be
right.
here before you know it. But you did co-sponsor one bill, though,
Yeah.
did you not?
Mhm.
And that
I think
was
it was
Bill
one or two.
7064.
House Bill 7064.
Yeah.
And Senate Bill 7020.
Yep.
And that basically allowed teachers and military,
Retired law enforcement.
retired law
Yeah.
enforcement, and people that have the enhanced carry to carry on school grounds.
At a football game, basketball game,
Yeah.
You know,
anywhere on
and I
school
heard
grounds.
and I heard this happen. You know, I had people argue this point, and they were saying, "Well, there's people act a fool at football games. Why would you want somebody having a gun at a football game?" And I said, "Hang on." I said, "I want you to think about this." I go, "If people know that there's people there carrying, you're less likely to act like a fool because a armed society is what? A polite
A
society."
polite
Yeah,
society.
and I mean, you see all these clips online, and I'm sure you've seen them on the news of these. You got states like Georgia and some of the other ones where these criminally inclined individuals will take the opportunity at a football game to shoot up the field. We've
That's
seen it
correct.
multiple different times.
And-
so the Democrats want us to be comfortable as sitting ducks in gun-free zones where we can all be killed by gangbangers and criminals,
'Cause
and they're
that's their
okay.
soft targets.
Yeah, they're okay with us sitting there like sitting ducks and getting killed.
And it is that way because we talk to Moms Demand Action.
Oh, God.
You know, the commie mommies, and they don't even want police officers, SRO
Correct.
officers.
They don't want this additional SRO that the
Davidson County is the
State
only
funded.
county in the state of Tennessee right now. Look it up, fact check me. You can go check it out
They
right
returned
now.
the money.
Rejected the money for the SRO officers in Davidson County. We have got kids in Nashville right now. Well, not today because it's a holiday. Shout out to the holiday, but that are unprotected.
So I'm going to ask a rhetorical question here because we probably do have some Democrats listening right now.
I'm sure.
Okay. When a school shooting happens, who are you going to call? Let me tell you who you're going to call. You're going to call the police. Why not just go ahead and have the police there?
Yeah, I don't.
But you know why? Because it's a mental illness.
Yeah.
If you think that way, it is a mental illness.
Yeah.
Is what you have.
Of course. Absolutely. Let me tell you a story.
total hypocrisy.
Tell you a story
is what
about
it is.
Tell you a story about Moms Demand Action. So this was during the first session. It was probably, I don't know, February or something. I hadn't been there long. Obviously, I knew who they were, talked to them, whatever, in the committee rooms. And I'm sitting in my office with Barry. Shout out Barry Gobble, my assistant. Great
Love
guy.
Barry.
Just had a birthday recently. Happy birthday again, Barry. And this woman comes in the office. I'm waiting between committees or something. And she's got on a Moms Demand Action T-shirt. And she said, hey, if you got a couple of minutes, I'm your constituent. I live in so-and-so county. I'm not going to tell everybody where she lives. But she turns out, I think it was close whether she was my constituent or not. And I was like, yeah, just come on in. She said, I want to talk to you. And I'm thinking, I know how this is going to go. Mm-hmm. But she was nice, respectful,
You're going to do
fine.
the same thing.
Exactly. Yep, come on in, sit down. So it was over at, it was the long gun bill, the real constitutional carry that we're trying to get passed, that we're going to get passed next year,
Right.
I hope. And she just starts right off the bat. She's like, what is wrong with you? And I'm like, well, nothing right now. What do you mean? She said,
I'd have said you.
yeah, well, yeah, I'm just, like, well, nothing. She said, well, you think these weapons of war should be allowed on the street? And I'm like, hold on a second. Let's just pump the brakes here. Are you telling me that an AR-15 is a weapon of war? Is that what you're telling me? She said, well, yeah, absolutely. I've talked to the experts. The experts know. And I'm like, excuse me, who have you been talking to? If you go to Afghanistan with an AR-15, you're not going to make it very far.
So can I please explain something real quick to people?
Please.
I don't want to interrupt your story, but I want to talk to somebody about this that do not understand guns and don't understand ballistics. Mm-hmm. We all know what a .22 is, correct?
Sure, absolutely.
And everybody laughs. They say, "Oh, I wouldn't want to use a .22 for anything." Mm-hmm. Okay, a .22. The caliber of the round is .22. Mm-hmm. The AR-15, the round is .223. It's 300ths bigger than a .22.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell you this, ballistically speaking, okay, and I've studied ballistics and I know just a little bit about guns.
Sure.
Ballistically,
I would say you're right.
So ballistically speaking, if you told me that I am going to get into a firefight that day, and I have a choice, and the firefight is 100 yards or less, and the firefight I get to pick either a Ruger 1022 or an AR-15. You know what gun I'm going to take?
You're going to take the Ruger.
I'm going to take the Ruger. You know why? Because ballistically speaking, less than 100 yards, a .22 will do more damage than that .223 will.
There you go.
And so, now, are these things, are they viable? Are they viable for self-defense? And let's get this out of the way. Right now, the Second Amendment is not for you to hunt. The Second Amendment isn't even for you to defend yourself walking the streets. The Second Amendment is for tyranny, whether it is this government or another form of government. The Second Amendment was written right after we just got through being in a bloody war to get our freedoms from England. Mm-hmm. That Second Amendment was not for hunting. And I'm going to tell you something. I have a tough time with Republicans that sit there and they say, well, it's our right for hunting. I'm tired of them kowtowing and bowing down.
No, you're right.
And it's not for that.
You're right. No, you're
anyway,
exactly
I'm sorry.
Right. No, you're good. No, that was a good segue.
We got Commie Mommy. We got Commie Mommy in the office.
And we want to get back to House Bill 706.
Yeah, we'll get back. I'll finish it up real quick. So she's sitting in there and talking about the assault rifle thing, and I went through the whole thing of explaining how AR does not mean assault rifle and doing all that stuff.
Stands for Armalite rifle.
Yeah, Armalite rifle. And of course she didn't appreciate that. And then, of course, she thought that I was in my 30s, and I hit her with the, no, I'm 26. And that kind of took her back a couple steps, too, because she was thinking, oh, well, whatever.
You're young and dumb at this point.
It's just, young, dumb idiot here. And she, after, and I had tried, and this had gone on for like 5 minutes, and I was trying to be respectful, and I just said, ma'am, look, we're just going to have to agree to disagree. I'm sorry. I appreciate you coming in. I'm going to keep voting for Second Amendment-related legislation. I'm going to keep trying to advance our Second Amendment. That's what I've kind of ran on. That's how I feel. It's what I believe in. That's what I'm going to keep doing. And when I told her that, Lord have mercy, you would have thought I was spanking her child in front of her. She lit into me dropping the F-bomb, MF, and SOB. I mean, cussed me like a dog. It got to the point where I told her, I said, you need to leave now. And then I told Barry, I said, if she don't leave in the next 30 seconds, you need to get a trooper up here and arrest her and get her out of this office. It was nuts.
Wow. See, I had the exact opposite results with the commie mommies. They came in, I guess because I was dressed in a tie and everything, they might have thought I was,
They thought you looked like a minister that day.
Well, that's about the only time I'll get that. But, we had them so tore up when we gave them gun facts, and they could not argue with us, that they resulted to this lady, and I lost it. I didn't yell or cuss or get mad, but I lost it on her. She took her shirt, and she's holding it in her hands. And she's like, do you see? And then her voice started cracking. Do you see this shirt? We can get shot and killed wearing this shirt. And I looked at her, and I had enough at that point. And I looked at her and I said, have I triggered you? I said, have you been triggered because you cannot argue facts?
Sure.
I've triggered you. I said, let me tell you this. This is your safe place here. This is your safe space right here, just like in college campuses.
Yeah.
Brandon got mad at me because Brandon likes to argue with liberals, and he wanted to continue to argue with them.
Oh,
at this point, I'm done. I cannot handle it anymore. And Brandon's like, "Shut up," And I'm like, look, you don't cast your pearls before swine.
There you go.
And when you're giving them information that they cannot refute, other than to say it's not true, and then to go to that, I'm like, that's it. I'm done.
Like I always say, to make a conservative mad, tell him a lie.
There you go.
Right.
To make a Democrat mad,
Tell
tell
them
him
the
the
truth.
truth.
That's right.
So and the proof's in the pudding.
That's exactly right. Shout out Strikers one more time, then we'll hit back on HB 7064. Shout out Strikers. Yeah.
So tell us about HB 764, because I thought it was a fairly decent bill.
Yeah.
Okay. Now,
Chris Todd was the primary sponsor
West
in the House.
Tennessee.
he was, but I'm
Madison
going to
County,
give Kip, and then your buddy
You're correct.
Grill, Rusty Grills, was also co-sponsored with you. We had him on the radio here a couple
Yeah,
of weeks
shout out
ago.
Rusty.
By phone.
Yes. So anyway, you tell me about it.
So House Bill 7064, and if you want to look it up, you can go capital.tn.gov. Go up to the top right corner, there's a little hourglass. You just type in HB 7064, and it'll come up. So basically what this bill did, essentially it says that if you have an enhanced carry permit, if you're retired law enforcement, if you're retired from the military,
Or active duty.
and you decide that you want to volunteer your time in one aspect, or if you just decide to go to a football game, go to a volleyball game, go to whatever, and you want to carry, then as far as the state of Tennessee is concerned, that would be acceptable, right? Because right now veterans already have that, right? You don't have to have you don't have to have anything if you're a veteran.
Right.
Law enforcement, all that. To me, that's a no-brainer, because I can't tell you how many constituents of mine that I have that have come to me that are retired police, that are retired veterans, that have said, hey, I have got so much free time on my hands. Obviously, they're mentally sound, and in the bill, you'd have to go through a mental checkup and all that stuff, pass it, yada, yada, yada. I want to go to my grandson's school and volunteer and just hang out. Just sit around, volunteer, help out the school, protect the kids. That's something that I want to do. I've had a lot of constituents tell me that. So this was a no-brainer for me, because if there's an active shooter situation, who is going to be better than a retired police officer or a retired veteran or an active duty veteran? They've got training. Most of them have seen combat of some capacity, and if you're retired law enforcement, you'd be hard-pressed to. They've been in some stuff.
Right.
So
They see combat daily.
yeah, they do a little bit more domestic combat, local combat.
Yeah. Especially if you're in Memphis.
Yeah. So this was a no-brainer for me. I mean, why not? And of course, we had some complaints. Obviously, you're going to run into that, and we had some individuals from different departments say, "Well, we're concerned about those that are dishonorably discharged. Well, we're concerned about those that were in the military." Well, you can't
you can't carry if you're dishonorably. That's just like having a felony on your record if you're dishonorably
discharged and you're not retired.
We're looking for the crutches.
You were kicked out
Excuses.
of the military, so you can't retire if you're kicked out. That's not how that works. I mean, so there went that argument. And then we had some people that were, well, the enhanced carry permit, that's just not strong enough. There's just nothing to tie those people in the system, and you have to be fingerprinted. You have to give them your license. They run a background check on you. They know exactly who you are. Well, then they said, well, the principals and the LEAs are not going to know who these people are. Well, you think if some random person just showed up that was somebody's granddaddy or whatever else just showed up and started hanging out at the school, the principal's not going to know who that is?
Yeah, absolutely.
They just want to just ignore them?
You and I both know.
It's common sense.
It's our squishy Republicans.
It's common sense.
Those squishy Republicans.
It's not a hard concept. I mean, it's really not.
I tell you, I was very disappointed that the bill wasn't going to go anywhere until January because there's things that had to been worked out in the Senate.
The Senate
the Senate had done
shut it down.
Yeah.
But I'm going to tell you something. I was pretty disappointed in seeing some of the Republicans that voted against it. One of them being John Reagan, who I thought was a conservative person. The other one being Scott Sapicki, who I thought was a conservative person. And they both voted against it.
I'm shocked as well.
Yeah.
I would have thought these two colleagues, even though they know it was dead on arrival in the Senate, would have gone along with the Republicans, because if one of those two guys, let's forget about John Gillespie, we know he's squishy from
he's
over
not.
Memphis.
He's a Democrat.
And I'm going to tell you, Mark White never had control of that committee.
It was a mess.
And I hope Cameron Sexton will look at changing him as a chair. He did a terrible job.
It was a mess.
But anyway, we got to call spades a spade. Mm-hmm. That's what it's all about.
Yeah.
And, like any of these guys have a problem with what I say, hey, pick up the phone and call me. That's all you got to do. But anyway, long story short, I'm really shocked in these two gentlemen. Mm-hmm. I like both of them.
Yeah.
I've considered them both stout conservatives. They knew this wasn't going anywhere, just to go along with the fellow Republicans, because I'm going to tell you, when y'all silenced Justin Jones, and yes, he broke decorum, he broke the rules, no matter how anybody wants to say it.
That's right.
All the Democrats in unison got up and walked out on you Republicans. Mm-hmm. They will stick together like fleas on a dog's back.
Right.
And here our Republicans won't back each other up. Now, I'm sick and tired of it.
I am too.
I am sick and tired of it.
I know.
And if you don't want to serve, carry your butt to the House. I'll keep it clean. Carry it to the House. Don't run again. Let somebody have that seat who is conservative.
Well, like Kip said, sometimes you got to play ball with your team, and you have to do what's right.
That's right.
And from my understanding, from what I have heard from a couple of different people, that Scott Sapicki even said that he was going to vote for the bill right before it was time for him to vote.
That's what he told Chris Todd's, what my understanding is. And Chris is, shout out to Chris Todd, fine lawmaker from Madison County, Jackson, Tennessee, over in West Tennessee. Great guy.
Yeah. And so that to me, I have an issue when you don't keep your word. You don't keep your word. Your
word's your bond, right?
To be a man, my dad always told me a man has to keep his word, because that's the only thing that he has.
So you're telling me a handshake and a head nod just don't cut the mustard anymore?
Absolutely, it should.
It should.
It should. And I'm going to even take it a step further. Even when we have all these things that we have to sign, and if you buy a house or you buy a car, whatever, there's contracts. Well, contracts are made for people that are not honorable to get out of them. An honorable man doesn't need a contract to sign or anything to sign, because an honorable man's going to keep his word.
His word is his bond.
That's right.
That's right.
And that's where my biggest disappointment is, right there.
Well, y'all, I agree with you, but I'm fixing to do something that, we don't rehearse anything.
No.
No, we run it
Sitting
live,
here,
baby.
We
Yep.
run it live, and what you see is what you get. We
right.
may have a few John notes that we
Yeah,
want to talk
we're
about.
talking, little
But I'm
topics.
fixing to throw a big curveball.
Okay.
Nobody knows this is coming.
I'm sitting down.
You're sitting down.
Hold on.
I want to give a shout out to Paige Wally.
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay, and I hope he looks at this, Lawrence.
Yeah.
I hope you send it to him.
Yeah.
And if a person shows me, we all make mistakes. I've made plenty in my life, and Lawrence, you have. Kip, you're gonna make a few, and you're
I've
gonna
made
make a few
some.
more.
Yeah.
But anyway, the thing that I'm saying is, a person shows me their true conservatism, I back you 360%. You show me you're not, and I will drag you through the mud.
Well, and
but here's where I'm going
yes.
with this.
Okay.
Chester County. How many of y'all heard about what's going over in Chester County? For folks that don't know Chester County, it's in West Tennessee.
Yeah.
The county seat is Henderson. It's where all the Walking Tall movies were filmed.
Yeah.
That's right.
And the FBI walks into Chester County unannounced on August 16th, goes to a
woman's
dishonorable,
house.
a honorable discharged veteran
Yeah. Who's staying with his mother, by
who's
the way.
staying with his mother. They bust into the house, no knock.
That's right.
They jerk his mother out,
Drag her out.
throw her in the back of a police car. She's wanting to know what's going on. They're telling her the answer to
This is
her
a 70-year-old woman, by the way.
Right, it's none of your business.
Her house, by the way.
It's her house.
Her house.
And then she hears the gunshots, and they murder her son.
Who was unarmed.
Who is unarmed. I am looking for the sheriff of Chester County and the DA of that area. They need, and our state attorney general needs to be involved. Our U.S. senators. Everybody needs to be upset that the FBI comes into the turf of Tennessee, breaks your constitutional rights, and murders a guy. They need to charge those FBI agents with murder.
And I'm going to tell you something.
Pure and simple.
This is why it's so important to your local politics, even.
Your sheriffs, for sure.
My
That's right.
sheriff,
That's exactly
our district
right.
attorney.
Yep.
Because I'm going to tell you right now, John Myers would not let that go. And Brent Cooper, our district attorney, he would not let that go either. But again, this is why I told you we're blessed to live in this county, to have the leaders that we have.
Amen.
Because that would not have happened. John Myers
On this turf.
John Myers would have arrested them. He would have arrested them even if they had come in and did what they did. Nobody died because you were supposed to let the sheriff of the county know.
That's where I was going with this. A lot of people don't understand that they didn't notify
Yeah.
the sheriff.
They didn't say
of
anything.
The county is my understanding.
That's what I heard too. They didn't tell anybody anything. They
didn't
just
tell
kicked the
anybody.
guy's door
And
in.
I want to thank Paige Wally
Yeah.
because he's got out in front of this and he's questioning why.
Yeah.
The family is wanting answers.
Of course.
Nobody's getting answers. You think you're going to get anything under Sleepy Joe's?
You ain't gonna get anything
watch?
out of the Biden DOJ.
Now,
Ain't gonna
carry
happen.
this a step further. This is not the only time this has happened recently in our great state.
No, it happened in 20,
It happened in Hickman
21.
County.
Yeah, in
Really?
2021.
In Hickman County,
I didn't know that.
several.
No
A
kidding.
guy who was leading, and his last name is Vaughn. So anybody who wants to look it up, I think he's a father of 12. They show up at 7 a.m. There's videos of it. His wife videos it. They show up like at 7 and take the butt of a gun and start like an AR-15 and start banging on the door, wanting in, and I think he just calmly says, let's see what they want. You know what they were there for? To arrest him? For peacefully protesting and leading prayer at an abortion clinic in Wilson County in Mount Juliet. There was nothing from
Lord.
the Wilson County Sheriff's Department that any wrongdoing or the city of Mount Juliet. They just show up and they arrested 11 Tennesseans. Now, not everybody out of that 11, I think, were from Tennessee, but close by. But, hey, we've got to have lawmakers in Washington, our House of Representatives, our U.S. senators, that are protecting our God-given constitutional rights. And if they're not going to do it, go to the House.
Yeah.
Get out of the way. Let somebody who's got some backbone get up there and take over. And that's what it's going to take to stand up to this evil, as you call it, evil force. We've got to, the good's got to overcome this darn evil.
Well, for evil to persist, good men do nothing. And that's the reason the 10th Amendment is so important. That's the reason our Constitution,
Right.
most of these people are not doing anything about our Constitution. And that's the reason the Second Amendment is so important.
Yeah.
Because the Second Amendment is what gives our Constitution its teeth.
Of course.
Without the Second Amendment, our Constitution doesn't have any teeth. And people, you better wake up and you better hear me on this. That's why it's so important, is our Second Amendment rights. You take our Second Amendment rights, everything else is gone. I will say this, and to change the subject real quick, were you aware that Gavin Newsom and the Tennessee Three were going to be at the Democrat State Convention talking over this past weekend?
Oh,
Yeah, because Newsom flew in last week.
He
sometime.
did. But see, Gavin Newsom and the Tennessee Three, I mean, matter of fact, me and another guy, we actually discussed, why don't we just go in there and give them a little piece of their own medicine? But you know what? We're law abiders, so we didn't do it. But I'm glad we didn't. You know why? Because we kicked the crap out of the Democrats and all these communists. Oh, Gavin Newsom couldn't stand it. He was a no-show. He didn't even show up, didn't even tell them. He just fled the state
That's
with
tough.
his tail between his legs.
Back to
Bye.
California. See ya.
Let me say, hey, Gavin, bye.
Back to the left coast.
That's right. The left coast.
Back where he belongs.
That's right.
Well, one thing that I want to point out, too, because our time, man,
I know.
believe it or not, it flies. We got about 10 minutes left. Shout out to Strikers.
Shout out Strikers again. Go out there and get you
So-
something to eat.
The thing that we really need
Good
to
food.
be focused on in every state in our great republic of 50 states, in every county in every one of those states, the most important constitutional office of any county in any state in this great union
Is our sheriff.
is the sheriff. You got to have a sheriff that's going to uphold your Constitution. Now, I think roughly across this great republic, we have about 3,200 and something sheriffs, because
Yeah.
somebody could give me that
Yeah.
number real quick on how many counties we have in the United States.
You're right, though. There's I think only about
Ballpark it.
1,400.
Yeah. That's something.
but there's
I don't know, yeah.
only a little over 1,050.
Oh, 1,000. I thought it was like 1,400.
No, not even a third
Wow.
that are constitutional.
Wow.
And these constitutional sheriffs of this 1,050, we'll even make it 1,100. Of these 1,100 folks are trying to educate, hey, we've got to stand up to this tyranny.
Yeah.
And that's what your Second Amendment is all about.
Yes, it
Because
is.
if you go back and study the history of the United or of England, and look how they took up the arms, and how they did the people over there, the folks who come across the pond who were instilled by God, who wrote this Constitution, knew this, and they did it for our protection, just like the good Lord give us His
Yeah.
word.
Well, I mean, here's the thing that I laugh about a lot in Nashville is you hear Jones and Pearson and the other idiots up there talking about the next generation. This is what the next generation looks like. It's us. It's us. We're the next generation.
God help us if it
I
is.
hear
Well-
Antonio Parkinson say that till I'm sick.
Let me just go ahead and tell you, I'm younger than both of them, and I'm not going anywhere.
That's right.
And what they're doing is they're pissing me off, and I'm going to say it live on air because I'm mad. I'm mad at them because they're abusing their office that I hold such high respect for, that people work their tail off to get there, that I work so hard to represent my folks back home, that they go up there and make a mockery out of their district. They disrespected the institution that's been there since this state was founded, and they want to use some kind of caveat by saying they're the next generation. Well, let me tell you something. I'm the next generation, and I'm not going anywhere.
Amen.
And you're going to have to deal with me, and I am furious because if there's one thing that I'm not going to allow while I'm representing the 71st District is you're not coming for our guns. You're not going to kill any babies. You're not going to raise our taxes. You're not going to infringe on our freedoms. And if you want some, come and get it.
That's right.
Come on whenever you want to. I'm ready for you.
Man,
I've told them up there, I am ready. Come on.
I got chills.
Now, the thing about with Kip right here, we just went from a 68-degree room to 198.
I mean,
it's
look
fun.
I am ready.
Chill bumps.
I'm telling you, I'm tired of it. I put up with it for a year. I've been quiet about it. I'm done. I'm done playing games. If you want to come, they've threatened, oh, well, we're going to take your seat. We're going to do this. We're going to come campaign against you. Come on, please. Come to the 71st District. Please come.
Kip,
I
I'll give you a
invite
little example. This happened in Wayne County. Shout out to Johnny Hurd over in Wayne County.
Yes, shout out Johnny Hurd.
And
yes.
the great folks over there, and even Mangubin.
Lower my blood.
A shout out.
Lower my blood pressure a little bit here.
Anyway, the thing about it was that Johnny invited us over, and we went over to their Republican dinner, Reagan Day dinner, and everybody was against David Byrd. David Byrd's a great guy, I like David Byrd.
I
hope he's doing well.
Yeah, well,
but
he is.
Here, I'm traveling 64, heading west. I'm already west of Lawrenceburg, heading towards Wayne County, and these cars are passing me, New Jersey, Connecticut, and I thought, where'd these folks come from? They were the protesters who showed up at Wayne County. I think it was at the middle school.
Lord,
there to protest. And Senator Hensley remembers it very well. And
shout out
Joey said, hey, what are we going to do? I said, just look at those bunch of clowns out there. But these clowns grew in numbers from 10 or 12 to thousands.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
And they're more well organized, but they're paid protesters.
That's right.
I'm going to tell you, these folks from Jersey and Connecticut didn't come down to Wayne County, Tennessee without some moolah from probably George Soros and probably Bill Gates and all those idiots that are creating this problem. Zuckerberg, we'll throw them all in there,
If you want it, come and get it. That's all I got to say.
We'll give you a warm Lawrence County welcome. Is that what you're saying?
They got this twisted narrative that they think that they're going to come into my district, our district, and somehow turn this place blue. Are you kidding me? They just
over my cold dead body.
You've got this twisted view that you think you're going to come here and you're going to force your democratic views on us. We're 82% over here. 82%. They told us when we were up there, they said, you're ignoring your constituents. Your constituents want you to do something about gun violence. Well, I'm here to tell you, we don't have a problem with gun violence. We got a problem with morality. We got a problem with people not wanting to go to church. That's what the problem is. We got people that don't respect their parents. We got people that don't want to go worship the Lord because it's not convenient. We got a morality problem. I could have any gun that's ever been created on the face of this planet and set it right here, and until somebody who's a bad actor comes over here and picks it up, and guess what?
Lay it out there. It
ain't going to do nothing.
Yep.
Until a bad actor comes and picks it up. You need to get yourself right with God, first off. That's the first thing you need to fix. And the second thing is, if you got a problem with somebody and you can't have a civil discussion with them, take your butt to the house.
And that's the issue, is because they cannot have, when you hit them with facts. That's a great
just like
quote.
The woman in your office.
Yeah.
Prime example.
Yeah, that's a great quote. If you want to piss off a conservative, tell him the truth, or tell him a lie.
Yep.
If you want to piss off a liberal, tell him the truth.
Yep.
And that right there is, I'm going to use that for the.
I think that comes from Theodore Roosevelt, which was a Democrat.
That's a great quote.
And it's a great quote. He had a lot of conservatism to him, just like John F. Kennedy had some conservatism to him.
Yeah.
Well, I tell you, look here, we got 2 minutes left. I want to touch on this real quick because Paige is supposed to be on with us on Wednesday, and he did not answer my text, so maybe he's busy today. But you had a true constitutional carry bill, and people don't understand that in the state of Tennessee, real quick.
And we can go over a couple minutes. We'll be all right.
There's only 4 states in this country that cannot carry a loaded long gun. New York, New Jersey,
Florida,
Washington, D.C., and then Florida and Tennessee.
Washington, D.C.
Is
I
not a
don't
state, I
want
know
nobody to
that.
holler at you. It's
No,
not
I
a
know
state,
that.
you
I know that.
Territory.
And I
Territory.
said 4. I said 4.
You did.
But I wanted to put Washington, D.C. in and lump them in with New York and New Jersey.
Yeah.
Why is Florida and Tennessee in here?
We're gonna fix
For
it.
the love of me,
We're gonna
I
fix
don't
it.
know, but
We're getting
you
it fixed.
guys
We're
have
going to
gotta
fix
be
it.
able to
We
And
are.
Page,
We're
and
gonna get it
Page-
fixed.
Page at least needs to, if he doesn't write the bill, he at least needs to
This
co-sponsor
is
it.
WDXE, W287AA, and W237FD Lawrenceburg. Broadcast services of
VoCapley.com. Thank y'all.
Communications.
Taste some of this?
This
OMG.